Good morning, all of you. Okay, before start the lecture, still some students are not maintaining your name. Snehal Sutar, still your name like CAC underscore B underscore 70. Akshay Mane, please rename your name like division underscore roll number underscore name of student, because your attendance is auto recorded. Solari Baji. Okay, some students are written only TY. You are entering the B. Aditya. CAC dash TY B dash 35. Ajinkya Lokande. Your name like CAC dash TY B dash 52. Please all of you take care about your attendance. Your attendance is auto recorded. That's why at the time of joining any lecture, you check your name. Your name should be like your division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Pranesh Sutar, check your name. You remove the CC. Digvijay. Sarika Hande. You don't mention CC. You only mention division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Sorali Bhajibakre, you mention CC dash TYB. Sarika Hande, you rename your name. Aditya. Okay, for your attendance, we are not responsible. You are responsible person, because attendance is auto recorded. That's why for every lecture, I am repeating once again, every lecture at the time of joining, okay, you join with your name like division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Sarika Hande, you are listening or not? You rename your name. Aditya.
Okay, sir.
Sonali Landge, you rename your name. Sheikh, your name is like CAC-TYB-22. Okay, all of you take care about your attendance. Okay, this is the last warning from my side. Henceforth, I am not searching your name. Okay, but at the time of joining any lecture, your name should be like division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Still, I have repeating Sarika Hande, Aditya, Sheikh. Okay, his or her name like CC dash TYB. Means these students are only joining, they are not listening. Aditya, Fiza Sheikh, Sarika Ande, still you are not rename your name. Means you are not listening any lecture, you are only joining. Okay. This is from your side. Okay. Okay. In the last lecture, we have completed 50% part of the unit number 2. The name of unit is the message passing. Up to that, we have completed introduction part. What is the desirable feature of good message passing system? Also, we have completed issues in IPC by message passing. In last lecture, we saw the what is the synchronization, what are the issues in blocking send, issues in blocking receive, issues in non-blocking receive, how synchronization communication was happened. Next is the implementation. Next part, in last lecture, we saw the buffering. What is the null buffer, single message buffer, finite bound buffer? Okay, total there are 4 types of buffering. Null buffer means no buffering. Single message buffer means only means in buffer we can store only one message. Unbounded capacity buffer means to receive all the unreceived messages, but practically this is impossible. Okay, and last is the finite bound buffer means here we can store the n number of messages in the buffer. We saw this diagram also. Okay, next part is the message passing interface. Already you know the interface. Okay, before starting this message passing interface, you heard about socket programming. In computer network, you saw the socket programming. What is the use of socket? What is the socket address? Anybody? You heard about this socket programming. Oh, what is meant by socket? Okay, socket address means this is the collection of IP address and port number. In computer network, you studied what is the socket. In socket address means it is the collection of IP address and port number. Okay. Second thing, with help of this socket, we can send the message from your computer to another machine. Or second, you can receive the message inside the computer machine through this socket. Means socket is the interface. Socket is the interface. Through this socket, you can send the message from your machine to the outside the network. Our second thing, from the outside the network, some messages for you. Then through this socket, you can receive the message from outside the network. Means socket is the interface between sending and receiving the messages. Means every computer machine have the socket. For example, right now I have the computer machine. Okay, in my computer machine I want to send the message to all of you. Then In my computer machine, I have the socket. Socket is the software. Socket, okay, this is not hardware device. Okay, means this is the process. Through this socket, this computer machine send the message to the outside the network. And in the outside the network, you are the there. Okay, you are the receiver. You can receive this message. Okay, sometime, for example, one student give the reply to me. Okay, then in my computer machine I have the socket. This socket they can receive the message from outside the network. Means this is the interface. Same like in message passing system. Okay, we have the interface. Through this interface, we can pass the message from one machine to another machine. Okay. The message passing system is a standardized means of exchanging messages between multiple computers running a parallel programs across distributed memory. What is the message passing? Exchanging the messages between multiple computers. You can exchange the messages between the multiple computer. Okay, running a parallel program across distributed memory. For example, right now in my computer machine, okay, Zoom meeting is going on. Simultaneously, I have accessing the Gmail account. Simultaneously, I have accessing the Facebook account in the same computer machine. Means in the single computer machine have running a number of processes. First process is Zoom is running. I have accessing the Gmail account. I have accessing the Facebook account. These are the processes. Means in the single computer machine have a number of processes running. Means what is the message passing? Exchanging the message between multiple computers running a parallel program across distributed system. Means see here, through this Zoom meeting, okay, I am sharing the information to all of you with the help of lecture or with the help of the chat box. Okay, through the Gmail account, I am just sending the message to the all of you. Means communication is going on. Means message exchanging is going on. Or through Facebook account, I am share some videos. Means here also message exchanging is going on. Means in message passing interface, okay, this interface simultaneously they can send the message to the outside the network. Means message passing interface is the standardization means of exchanging messages between multiple computers running a parallel program. Right now in my computer machine there are 3 programs are running parallelly. First is Zoom, second is Gmail account, and third is the Facebook across the distributed memory. And through this interface in my computer machine have one interface. Through this interface, these 3 programs running simultaneously, and all these 3 programs they can communicate to the outside the network through this interface. This is called as message passing interface. In parallel computing, multiple computers or even multiple processors cores within the same computer are called node. Node means computer machine. In the single computer machines, there are a number of processes are running simultaneously. The message passing interface is a standardization and portable message passing standard designed to function on parallel computing architecture. All of you see the next is the diagram. Okay, you can all of you see this diagram. Message passing programming paradigm. The first is the sequential programming paradigm. Okay, in your computer machine have the data means memory, and second is the program means process or processor. In the first diagram, what did they indicate that? Okay, this computer machine are separate. They have his own memory and own processor. But here we can mention the processor may run many processes. What is the second diagram? Message passing programming paradigm. See, in the second diagram, every computer machine have the data. Data means memory. Every computer machine have the program means process or processor. But here, all these computer machines are connected to the communication network. Okay, see here, below is the communication network. All these computer machines are connected to the communication network. With help of this communication network, they can exchange the information between each other. I will repeat once again. The first diagram indicates that only one computer machine is there. This computer machine have the data and program. Data means memory, program means processor or process. This single computer machine may run many processes. But this first computer machine, they doesn't exchange any information because this computer machine is alone. What is the second diagram? Second diagram, they have the a number of computer machines are there. Every computer machine have the data and program. But here, all these computer machines are connected to the communication network. And via this communication network, communication network means right now I am sitting in the CC lab. Then all these computer machines are connected to the switch. Switch is the communication network. All the switch are connected to the router. And this router is connected to the outside the network. Means here communication network is available in the message passing system. Means here we can apply the distributed memory, and here we have applied the parallel processes. Means here all the processes, they are running parallelly, and here we can use the distributed memory because the first computer machine want to communicate with the 10th number computer machine via this communication network. Means here what is the interface? Interface means all the processes are running simultaneously and all the processes want to communicate with the outside the network, okay, via this communication. Means all the processes are running simultaneously on this particular computer machine, and all these processes want to communicate with outside the network. Yes, they should communicate to the outside the network via communication network. This is called as message passing interface. In the message passing interface, in our network have 2 or more computer machine, and all these computer machines are connected to the communication network. What about the sequential programming? Here only one computer machine is there. This computer machine cannot connect to the any network. Now what about message passing? All the computer machines are connected to the network, and here the memory is distributed memory, and here all the processes are running simultaneously. This is called as parallel processes. All of you got it? What is the message passing interface? All of you got it? What is the message passing interface? Message passing means exchanging messages between multiple computer machine. What is the interface? Interface means they are running a parallel program across the distributed system. This is called as interface. Through this interface, our computer machine send the data to the outside the network. Through this interface, our computer machine received the data from outside the network. This is called as message passing interface. All of you got this concept? What is the message passing interface? If you have any question, please ask the question. All of you understood what is the message passing system? Okay, next part is the multi-datagram messages. Already this part is covered in the last lecture. What is the MTO, maximum transfer unit of network? What is the exact use of MTO? Multi-datagram messages, this part is covered in the last lecture. Also, we have covered the encoding and decoding of message data. Okay. Next part is process addressing. Already we saw there are two process addressing, explicit addressing and implicit addressing. Okay. Already we saw the multi-datagram messages in the last lecture. Also, we have completed encoding and decoding of message data in the last lecture. Okay. Next part, we see process addressing. Before that, what is the process? We can call process is a part of program. Program is the collection of number of processes. Process is collection of number of thread. Means thread is part of a process. Process is a part of a program. What is the process? Right now in my computer machine, I have a number of processes running simultaneously. Means right now in my computer machine, this Zoom meeting is going on. This is the one process. Second, right now I am using the Gmail account. This is the second process. Third, I am searching some information on Google. This is third process. Fourth, right now I am accessing the Facebook. This is the fourth process. Means right now in my computer machine have 4 processes running simultaneously. Okay. For that process, I require the port number. This process have the port number address. And your computer machine have the IP address. Through this IP address, one computer machine send the data to the another computer machine. And once the receiver receive this message, then this message for Zoom meeting, this message is related to Gmail, this message is related to Google search engine, or this message is related to Facebook. For example, this received message is related to Gmail. Then your computer machine send this message to the Gmail account with the help of port number. All have you understood what is the difference between IP address and port number? This is not part of our distributed system, but for your understanding, IP address, with the help of this IP address, sender can send the message to the receiver. With the help of the IP address, receiver machine receive the message from sender. But once the message has received in your computer machine, then this receiver machine send this message to the particular process with the help of port number. Means computer machine to computer machine communication is going on with the help of IP address, and process to process communication is going on with the help of port number. Understood? Means here we see our main point is the process addressing. The process addressing is naming of parties involved in interaction. There are two types of process addressing: explicit addressing, and second is implicit addressing. First, we'll see the explicit addressing. The process with which communication is desired is explicitly named as a parameter. See here, the first is the send parameter. In the send, we have the two arguments. First is the process ID and second is the message. In the receive message, they have the two parameters or two arguments. First is the process ID and message. Means in explicit addressing, at the time of sending the packet, at the time of sending any message to the receiver, here in the send message, we require two parameters. First is process ID. Process ID means who is the process? What is meant by process? Right now in my computer machine, I have the Zoom process, Gmail, Facebook. These are the processes. Okay. At the time of sending any data to the receiver, first you will check. Okay. You want to send the data via Facebook, then you can mention the process ID of Facebook. Or you want to send the data otherwise you want to send the data via Gmail, then you can mention the Gmail process ID. Correct? In the send message, I have mentioned the first parameter process ID, comma. Second is the message. You mention your data. What type of data you want to send? The same thing in receive side, the receiver have the two parameters. First is the process ID. And second is the message. Means receive got the data from sender. This is the explicit addressing. Next, second is the implicit addressing. In implicit addressing, see, at the time of sending the data, here we require the service ID, comma. Message means same like your previous. We saw in the explicit, the message means data. Here also, message means data. But in implicit addressing, at the time of sending any data, we have mentioned the service ID. What is meant by service ID? Send a message to any process that provide the service of type service ID. Send a message to any process that provides the service of type service ID. Okay. What is the difference between explicit and implicit? In implicit, you can send the message to the anybody. You can send the message to the all processes. But here you can mention the service ID. Who want the service? For example, few students want this service. For example, from A division 10 student and B division 10 student. This 20 student want the service from sender. Then here you can mention the service ID. Means I'm the sender. I will send the message to the only 20 student. Then here I have mentioned the service ID. Send underscore any in bracket service ID comma message. And what about receive? Receive underscore any. Here the receiver know this message is related to the particular process. That's why they mention the process ID comma message. Receive a message from any process and returns the process ID of the process from which the message was received. Okay, you are the receiver. You receive this message from me. Okay, I am the sender. Then receiver machine know the received message is related to that particular process. That's why here they have mentioned a process ID, comma, message means data. But at the time of sending the data, send underscore any, here they have mentioned the service ID. Service ID means, what is meant by service ID? Process ID means every process have the unique process ID. For example, Facebook have the unique process ID, Gmail have the unique process ID. But what about the service ID? Means in explicit addressing, you have mentioned the unique process ID at the time of sending the data, and at the time of receiving the data also we have the mention the process ID. But in implicit addressing, at the time of sending the data, we have mentioned the service ID. What is meant by service ID? Anybody? Send underscore any in bracket service underscore ID comma message. What is meant by service ID? Service ID means I want to send the message to the 10 or 20 receiver. Who want to service? A receiver want to service from sender. Then sender mention one service ID. In that service ID include the process ID. Service ID include the process ID, and at the time of sending the message to the all of you, send to anyone. At the time the sender mention the service ID. In that service ID have the n number of process ID. Then if particular receiver receive this message, then this receiver, the particular receiver know this message is related to Gmail. Then receiver mention the Gmail process ID. Gmail process ID. But right now in my computer machine have the 4 processes. This all 4 processes send the data to the receiver. Then here in my service ID include the all the 4 processes ID. That's why I have mentioned the service ID. If in your computer machine have the particular processes running, for example, in my computer machines right now, in my computer machines have running Gmail, then this computer machine know only one process is running. That's why in explicit I have mentioned the process ID, but in implicit in my computer machine have running 4 processes. That's why I have mentioned the service ID, but the receiver receive the only one process out of this 4. That's why receiver have mentioned the process ID. Got it? What is the difference between explicit address and implicit? If you have any question, okay, every computer machine have the machine ID. With help of this machine ID, one computer machine send the packet to the another computer machine. What is the local ID? Local ID means our process ID. Next is the failure handling. How to handle the failure? First is loss of request message. For example, I have sent one message to all of you, but in between my message has lost. This is loss of request message. Loss of response message. Some students was given the response to me, but in between network, his or her response, okay, his or her response is lost. And third is unsuccessful execution of request. To overcome these problems, a reliable IPC, inter-process communication protocol, of a message passing system is designed. It is based on the idea of internal retransmission of message after timeout and return an acknowledgement to sending machine kernel by receiver machine kernel. We see one by one. See, first is the 4 message reliable IPC protocol. Okay, here first client machine send the request to the server, then server give the acknowledgement to the client. Okay, how to handle the failure? First thing, but before that, you should know what type of failure is occurred. First is the loss of request message, second loss of response message, and third is unsuccessful execution of request. Okay, the first way how to handle the failure, the first is the 4 message reliable IPC protocol. IPC means inter-process communication. Here first client send the request and wait for acknowledgement. Here all of you see, This dotted line indicate that client is waiting for acknowledgement. This is the dotted line indicate that blocked state. Okay, first client send the request to the server. Server give the acknowledgement. In that acknowledgement, server have mentioned, I have received your request successfully. Received. Okay. After that, in the server side, they start the execution of the request. Once server execute the request, then they will give the reply to the client machine. Okay, I will take the example. Client want addition of the two numbers. Then client send the two values to the server in the request message. Client send the two values. First value is the 10, and second value is the 20. Client want addition of the two numbers. Then in the request message, client have sent two values. First value is the 10, second value is the 20. Then at the server end, server received this message. In that message, server had received the 10, 20. Then server have immediately give the response, immediately give the acknowledgement to the client. Yes, I have received your request. In that request have the two values. Okay. Then after that, after sending the acknowledgement, at server end, server start the execution of the request. They apply the logic. Okay, they apply the addition is equal to a plus b. Okay, in the a have the 10, b have the 20. Then here at the server end, execution is going on. After execution at server end, the addition of these two number is equal to 30. Then server give the reply to the client. In the reply message, they have mentioned the addition of two number is equal to 30. Then if client receive this reply, yes, I got the output. Addition of this two number is equal to 30. Then client give the acknowledgement to the server. Yes, I received your output. This is called as 4 message reliable IPC. All of you got it? But here problem is, if client send the request and waiting for acknowledgement, but from the server side there is no acknowledgement, then what will do? Client in the waiting condition. Here, overcome this problem. Here, client and server in both sides, we can use timer. Within this time period, for example, at the time of sending any request, client send the request to the server. At the time of sending any request, client side, they are using the timer. Okay, client send the request to the server, they start the timer. The timer is the parameter 2 minutes. Within this 2 minutes, if client receive this acknowledgement from server, is okay. Within this 2 minutes, the client doesn't receive any acknowledgement from the server, then the client retransmit the same request once again. Why? Because client request has lost in the network. I repeat once again. If client send the request to the server, at the same time, client has started timer. Within this time period, if client receive the acknowledgement, then it's okay, there is no problem. But within this time period, the client doesn't receive any acknowledgement from the server, then client retransmit the same request once again. Retransmit the same request once again. Same thing here. If server give the reply to the client, after giving the reply to the client, server start the timer. Within this time period, if server doesn't receive any acknowledgement from the client machine, then the server once again send the reply to the client machine. Got it? Means with the help of this timer also, we can handle the failure. Next, 3 message reliable IPC. All of you see this diagram. First, client send the request to the server. Here, server side, they start the execution of the request. And in reply message, they have mentioned the addition of 2 number. And once the client receive this addition of this 2 number, they have give the acknowledgement to the server. This is called as 3 message reliable IPC protocol for client server communication between 2 processes. Okay, in the previous diagram, here the client send the request, the server give the immediately acknowledgement. Yes, I have received your request. I have received your request. Then server start the execution of request. But in the second scenario, the name of this scenario is the 3 message reliable IPC. Here, once the server receive the request from client, they start immediately execution of the request. Once the request has executed, then and then only server give the reply to the client. If client receive this reply, they immediately give the acknowledgement to the server. Okay, here one question is, what happens when request processing take a long time? What happens when request processing take a long time? Request processing means what happen if this at the time of execution of this request, this execution will take long time. Then what will do? The server send a separate acknowledgement to acknowledge the request message. If at the time of execution of this particular request, okay, for this execution they will take the more time, then server you immediately acknowledge to the client machine, yes, I have received your message. What happen when request processing take a long time? At that time, server immediately send a separate acknowledgement to acknowledge the request message. ह्याच्या रिक्वेस्ट मेसेजला सर्व्हर इमिडिएटली acknowledgement पाठवतो, yes, I have received your request, because the execution of request take more time. But for this execution of the request take less time, then they doesn't send any acknowledgement. The server directly send the reply message to the client. Third is the 2 message reliable IPC. This is the request reply. Client send the request, server give the reply. In the request, the client want addition of these two number, then at the server end they do the addition and give the reply message. In the reply message they have mentioned addition of these two number is equal to 30. Here the two message IPC protocol used in many systems for client server communication between two processes. When a request received at server machine, it start a timer. A server finishes processing the request before time expire, reply acknowledgement. Else, a separate acknowledgement is sent by server. In the two message reliable IPC, at the time of sending the client send the request to the server, they start the timer. Within this time period, the client received any response from server, then and then only client will send the another request. But within this time period, the client machine doesn't receive any response from server, then this client machine retransmit the same request once again. And at the server end, server start the execution of the request. If server take much time, then server give immediately acknowledgement to the client. Same thing, same like the previous three message reliable IPC. But here, once the client receive the response from the server, they have give the separate acknowledgement. But here in the two message reliable IPC, client send the request and server give the reply. Okay, this is the failure handling. We have the three scenario, four message reliable IPC, three message reliable IPC, and two message reliable IPC. All of you understood how to handle the failure? What type of failures are there? First is the request is lost, second is the reply is lost, and third is unsuccessful execution of request. With the help of these three scenario, we can handle the failure. All of you understood failure handling? Yes. Here we will take the 5-minute break. We will resume at 10:40. We will take the 5-minute break. We will resume at 10:40 a.m. Okay. May I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next point is the blast protocol. This is not bomb blast. Okay, this is another blast protocol. This is same like bomb blast. Okay, but here is the in the blast protocol. Okay, in the previous we saw at a time the client will send one request at a time. After receiving the acknowledgement or after receiving the any response from server, then and then only client will send the another request. But in the blast protocol, at a time, at the same time, client will send the n number of requests. Okay, you see, it's simply for the client to send all the packets as fast as it can. With this protocol, a server acknowledgement the entire messages when all the packets have been received, not one by one. Means from the client side, client send the n number of requests simultaneously. For example, I want to send the 100 packet or 100 requests. Then client send all 100 requests simultaneously. At the server end, server receive this all the 100 requests. They apply the execution process on the all the 100 requests, and the server machine send only one acknowledgement to the client. In that acknowledgement, the server have mentioned the all the outputs of the 100 requests. Okay, means client to send all the packets, and at the server end, server receive the all the packets, all the requests simultaneously, and in the acknowledgement, the single acknowledgement for all the packet of multi-datagram message. Multi-datagram message means client send the n number of packets to the receiver. They doesn't take care about the reply from server side. Right now, client have sent the 10 packet simultaneously. They doesn't think about the acknowledgement. Then in the server end, server receive this all the 10 packets, all the 10 requests. Then server start the execution of this all the request, and they put this output in the single acknowledgement, and server can send only one acknowledgement for all these 10 requests. This is called as blast protocol. Understood? Blast means server send the n number of requests simultaneously. Sorry, client send the n number of requests simultaneously. At the server end, they start the execution of the all the request and put the output of the all the request in the single acknowledgement, and server send only one acknowledgement to the client machine. This is called as blast protocol. The last point of this unit is group communication. The last point of this unit is group communication. A group is a set of parties that exchange information in a reliable, consistent manner. Group is a set of parties. Right now, we are using this Zoom meeting. One by one, they will express his own views. Means here group communication is going on. Set of parties that exchange information in a reliable means right now I have delivered this lecture. Our receiver got this message from me. One-way communication. Wait for 2 minutes. Okay. Next point is the group communication. Already our group communication is going on through this Zoom meeting. Group communication is a paradigm for multi-party communication that is based on the notion of groups as a main abstraction. For example, the participants of a message-based conferencing tool may constitute a group. Right now, we have formed the group. Okay, we take A and B division. If one message is a response to another, the original message should be delivered before the response. Means before asking any question, nobody can give the reply. Means first, I will ask one question to all of you, then and then only one by one, they will give the answer. Means before sending any request, Nobody can give the response. Next, the following three types of group communication are popular. First is one to many to one, and many to many. One to many means only one sender is there, number of receivers are available. Many to one to many means only one sender is there, number of receivers are available. Many to one means number of senders are available, only one receiver is there. Many to many means number of sender plus number of receiver. Message delivery to receiver process. User application use high level group names in program. The centralized group server maintain a mapping of high level group names to their low level names. Group server also maintain a list of process identifier of all the processes for each group. Okay, here we have mentioned the high level group and low level group. High level group means right now we have the two division, means in our group have the more than 100 members. This is the high level group. But here we require the group server for maintaining the database, for maintaining the attendance, whatever may be. What about the low level group? Low level group means our group have the 5 or 6 member. For this low level group, we doesn't require any server. Doesn't require any server. But in the high level group, we have the more members. For this more member, we require the database. For storing the database, we require the centralized group server. Right now, here our all the recording, our attendance is recorded, correct? All are maintained through this Zoom server. Means our lecture recording is going on right now. This recorded video is available on the Zoom server. This is the centralized group server facility. Right now, our meeting is called as high level group meeting, because in the back end, we have the centralized group server. Next is message delivered to the receiver process. When a sender sends a message to a group specifying its high level name, the kernel means operating system contact the group server to obtain low level name and process ID of processes belonging to the group. Okay. Right now I am using the Windows 10 operating system. My operating system is contacted to the group server to maintaining all the records. This list of process ID, P_ID means process ID, is inserted in the message. Next is the group communication primitives. Group communication is implemented using middleware that provide set of primitives to the application. Here we have the multicast primitives. These primitives allow us sender to post a message to the entire group. This primitive allows a sender to post a message to the entire group, or share, send message to the group, send underscore group. This is called as 1-1 means one-to-one communication, or 1-M means one-to-many group communication. What is the multicast? What is the difference between unicast, multicast, and broadcast? Casting means receiver. Unicast means only one receiver. Multicast means group of receiver. Right now, how many participants? 40 participants are in our group. Out of that, I am the sender. 39 participants are receiver. Means this is the group of receiver. This is called as multicasting. And broadcast means there is no group. We saw the example of the FM broadcasting. There are a number of receivers available in the network. This is called as broadcasting. We'll take the example of our SWERI. SWERI is the broadcast. And we have to take the example of the computer department. Computer department is the one group. They have the limited person. They receive the information. This is called as multicast. And broadcast means all SWERI peoples are received this message. And for the particular computer department is receiving this message, this is called as multicast. Okay, group of people they can receive, and all the SWERI members are receiving this message. This is called as broadcast. Means there are three types of casting. Casting means receiver. Unicast means only one receiver. Multicast means group of receiver, and broadcast means all are receiver, all the members under this network. Next is membership primitives. For example, join, leave, and query membership. First, all of you join this meeting. If meeting time is over, all of you left means leave the meeting. In between, you have any query, any question, we will discuss. These primitives allow a process to join or leave a particular group, as well as to query the group for the list of all current participants. What is the meaning of this group? First, all of you join this group. We'll discuss some points. Okay. After that, our work has completed. Our discussion is over. Then all are leave this meeting or leave this group. Many to one means single. Sure, may the selective or non-selective. Many to many, one to many, or many to one implement implicit in this scheme. Okay. Already we saw the many to one, many to many. In the many to many, they have total 3 ordering: absolute ordering, consistent ordering, and causal ordering. Okay, in many to many group communication have the 3 ordering. We'll see one by one. First is the absolute ordering. All messages are delivered to all receiver processes in the exact order in which they were sent. Here, many to many means many sender, many receiver. In absolute ordering, all messages are delivered to all receiver processes in the exact order in which they were sent. System is assumed to have a clock at each machine, and all clocks are synchronized with each other, because here every time we are using the clock, we are using the timer. Here clock value is taken as the identifier of the message. See, right now I am talking in the last 1.5 hours, because okay, because my lecture is going on. But here How I have identified 1.5 hours through this clock, because your clock is going on in my computer machine, in my mobile. The clock system is going on. This is called as absolute ordering. The absolute ordering, number of senders send the message, number of receiver receive the message, but who will identify this message required 2 hours, 5 hours, 1 minute, 2 minutes? With help of this clock, clock can identify the communications going on in last 2 hours, or communication going on, okay, in the last 5 minutes. See here, absolute ordering with help of this timer. S1 is the sender, R1 is the receiver. Okay, first sender send the message to the receiver. The receiver R1 and R2 receive this message. S2 sender send the message. Same message they R1 and R2 also received. Next is consistent ordering. Absolute ordering requires globally synchronized clock, which are not easy to implement. For this absolute ordering required globally synchronize the clock. Right now in my mobile, right now time is the 11 and above is the 5 minute. Okay, this is the global timing. Right now my mobile is showing me time. This time is the global time. In your mobile have also same time. Means absolute ordering require globally synchronized clock. Means sender as well as receiver clock show the same time, because all are using the global timing. But this is the which are not easy to implement. This is very difficult. Consistent ordering ensure that all messages are delivered to all receiver processes in the same order. In the same order. Order may be different from the order in which message were sent. Sending machine send message to a single receiver sequencer that assign a sequence number to each message and then multicast it. In consistent ordering, okay, here at the time of sending the message, every message they can assign the sequence number. Every message they can assign the sequence number to each message and then multicast it. Okay, what is the difference between absolute ordering and consistent ordering? In absolute ordering, every time every machines are using globally synchronized clock. But in the practical, this is very difficult task. Overcome this task in consistent ordering. I want to send the n number of messages. Receiver also want to receive the n number of messages. For that, at the sending any message to the receiver, every time for every message, we will assign the sequence number. Through this sequence number, we can identify the message. Through this sequence number, we can identify the message. But in absolute ordering, every message have the clock. Through this clock, we can identify the message. But this is very difficult task. Overcome this problem in consistent ordering. Here, for every message, we have assigned a sequence number. Through this sequence number, we have identified a particular message. This is the consistent ordering. Same thing here, the S1 sender send the message to the two receiver R1 and R2. and S2 sender, they also send the request to the two receiver R1 and R2. But in the consistent ordering, here we will apply the clock plus sequence number. And last ordering is the causal ordering. Last ordering is the causal ordering. This ensures that if the event of sending one message is causally related to the event of sending another message, the two messages are delivered to all receiver in the correct order. The two message sending event are said to be causally related if they are correlated by happened before relation. See here, in the causal ordering, see S1 send the request to the I will send the packet to the R1. Also, S1 send the packet to the R2. Same thing, after receiving the message to the R1, I will repeat once again. In the causal ordering, how many senders are there? Two senders, S1 and S2. And how many receivers are there? Three receiver, R1, R2, and R3. First, this S1 sender send the first packet to the all the receiver R1, R2, R3. After that, once this R1 receive the packet from S1, then R1 receiver itself, they can send the packet to the R2 and R3. Okay, this is called as, means this ensure that if the event of sending one message is causally related to the event of sending another message, the two messages are delivered to all receiver in correct order. The two message sending event are said to be causally related if they are correlated by happened before relation. Happened before relation means, see, first S1 send the packet to the R1, but same packet S1 want to send to the R2 and R3. But before sending this packet by S1, this R1 send this packet to the R2 and R3. After some time, this R2 and R3 received this same packet from S1. Means here, which process where is in happened before relation, means before receiving this packet from S1, this R2 and R3, they will receive this packet from R1, and R2 and R3 know, okay, the S1 will send XYZ message. This is the happened before relation. I will repeat once again. Here, Who is sender? S1 is the sender. Who is the receiver? R1, R2, and R3. In causal ordering, S1 want to send the packet to the R1, R2, and R3. But right now, first S1 send the pack. S1 send to the S1 send this packet to the R1, and after some time, S1 will send this packet to the R2 and R3. But before sending this packet to the R2 and R3, this R1 receive this message from S1. Then this R1 itself, they send this same packet to the R2 and R3. Then R2 and R3 know this S1 will send this message, XYZ message. And after some time, the same message R2 and R3 will received from S1. This is called as causal order, means happened before relation. Before S1 will contact to R1, before S1 and R2, they will communicate with each other. Before that, R2 know the S1 will send XYZ message. But how? Because R2 received this same message from R1. This is called as happened before relation. This is the causal ordering. In the group communication, we have the three ordering. First is the consisting absolute ordering. Second is the consistent ordering, and third is the causal ordering. Okay, here we have completed the second unit. Unit name is the message passing. In this unit, have the two case studies. First is the RMI, second is the CORBA. RMI means remote method invocation, and CORBA means common object request broker architecture. Okay, this case studies. Okay, this is your homework. All of you start the searching the information on RMI and CORBA. This is the case study. This is your homework, RMI and CORBA. Okay, all of you complete this case study as soon as possible. Okay, up to that, this is the content beyond the syllabus. Message passing in computer cluster. Technicians working on a cluster consisting of many computers working together by sending message over a network. Message passing is an inherent element of all computer cluster. Cluster means group of computer machine. In message passing, we will apply this message passing in the group also. Okay, cluster means group of computers. Okay, one cluster want to communicate with the another cluster with the help of message passing. This is the content beyond the syllabus. Okay, here we have completed the second unit. In that unit, we saw the introduction part, desirable feature of good message passing system. Next, issues in IPC by message passing. We saw the synchronization, issues in blocking send, blocking receive, issues in non-blocking receive. Also, we saw the buffering. There are 4 types of buffering: null buffer, single message buffer, unbounded capacity buffer, finite bound. Also, we saw the message passing interface. Also, we saw the multi-datagram messages. So we have covered the encoding and decoding of message data. So we saw the message process addressing. There are two types of process addressing: explicit addressing and implicit addressing. Also, we have covered the failure handling. There are three types of failure: loss of request, loss of response, and unsuccessful execution of request. How to handle this failure? With help of the three scenario: 4 message reliable IPC protocol, 3 message reliable IPC protocol, and 2 message reliable IPC protocol. So we saw the blast protocol. And last point of this chapter, we have covered group communication: one to many, many to one, and many to many. In many to many, have the 3 ordering: absolute ordering, consistent ordering, and causal ordering. Okay, this is the case study. This is your homework, RMI and Korba. All of you complete this case study. You can search the information on the internet. Okay, you prepare one document. In that document, you mention the case study 1 for RMI, case study 2 for Korba. Okay, up to that, we have completed 2 chapters. First chapter is the fundamental, and second is the message passing. Up to that, all of you understood the second unit, message passing. If you have any question, please ask the question. If you don't have any question, then we'll conclude the lecture. If anybody have any question apart from this syllabus, apart from the chapter also. No question from your side? If you don't have any question, then one by one you can leave the meeting. Thank you. Your attendance is auto recorded.